Hi everyone, welcoming you all to the Pen Speaks. I am Shatoki and we are here because of a course which is on the graphological analysis of signature. Many people here maybe do not know that what is graphology and what is the history behind it and why it is still called a pseudoscience. So I am going to tell a little bit over it before going to the actual signature analysis course. If you know all the things, you can skip it and start from the next video. So the first question is, what is graphology? Actually, graphology is the method of analyzing a person's handwriting to assess their personality traits. The word derives from Greek terms grapho, which means writing, and logos, which means study, forming graphology, the study of handwriting. The term was first used by researcher Abbe J.H. Micon in 1879. Before that, it was known simply as handwriting analysis. However, the roots of the study trace much further back in history. Humans began writing around 5,500 years ago. Over time, from carving on stone to writing on papyrus and then paper, people noticed that even when taught the same script, individuals wrote differently. This observation led to an inquiry into the deeper meaning behind handwriting variations. Around 700 BCE, elite members of the society in Athens, Greece, established schools to teach fine handwriting. Alongside this, research began into why handwriting differed despite formal training. The renowned philosopher Aristotle was among the pioneers in this field. After extensive study, he stated, speech is an expression of thoughts, ideas, or desires, and handwriting is the visible form of speech. Just as emotions can influence speech, handwriting too reflects the writer's inner thoughts, ideas, and emotions. The Chinese philosopher Confucius warned his disciples that beware of a person whose handwriting sways like a grass in the wind. Although many ancient philosophers, scholars, and scientists studied handwriting analysis, it remained an obscure field with limited public research. In India, no documented evidence of early studies on graphology has been found. The first comprehensive book on handwriting psychology was written in 1621 by Dr. Camillo Baldi, a professor of psychology at the University of Bologna, Italy. At that time, the term graphology had yet to emerge. Around the same period, in the Indian state of Maharashtra, a saint named Samarth Ramdas Swami, who later became the spiritual mentor of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, explored this field in his book Dashbodh. He discussed the connection between a person's handwriting and their behavior. It is said that before recruiting anyone to Shivaji Maharaj's army or court, he would analyze their handwriting, and this remains the oldest documented evidence of graphology in India. So much for historical evidence. Now the question arises, is graphology science? Many skeptics argue otherwise, and even today the internet labels it as pseudoscience. But why? Before addressing that, let's first understand the science behind it. When children first learn to write, they focus on speech, neatness, and letter formation. Speed, neatness, and letter formation. As writing becomes a habit, they develop a unique style, often influenced by parents or teachers in the early stages. Over time, this writing style becomes distinct and personal. The more frequently one writes, the more refined their handwriting style and analytical ability become. During handwriting, the motor cortex of brain responsible for controlling movement is activated. This part of the brain is closely linked to emotions. The central nervous system and peripheral nervous system transmit signals from the brain to different parts of the body. When we write, our emotions and thought processes influence these signals manifesting in our handwriting. Writing is not a simple task. It involves coordination between fingers, wrists, 27 bones, around 40 muscles, cognitive thought, grammar, spacing, and many more. This is why people who do not write regularly often feel fatigued after a short writing session. Does this give you an idea of how handwriting reveals one's thoughts? Now the question remains, why is graphology labeled as pseudoscience? I have an explanation. This is where human intervention comes in. Just as today's markets are flooded with fortune tellers, tarot readers. Many of them are genuine too, but the misuse of graphology began in Europe around 200 years ago. While literally figures like Shakespeare, Goethe, Dumas, and Edgar Allan Poe explored graphology, some opportunists turned it into a business, claiming to reveal personalities based on handwriting. At the same time, European monarchs began employing graphologists in their intelligence agencies. However, to prevent fraudsters from misleading the public, European authorities officially banned it, graphology as pseudoscience. Later, during the Industrial Revolution, many authentic graphology records were locked away in libraries to prevent the misuse. After World War I, renewed interest in graphology emerged, spreading across Europe, America, and their colonies. Countries like Germany, France, England, Italy, and Argentina established organizations dedicated to the field. Police forces also began utilizing graphologists for the investigations. After World War II, research advanced further, including studies on how handwriting could indicate mental and physical disorders. In 1950, Dr. Alfred Canfer of the American Cancer Research Society collected handwriting samples from 935 people, identifying 88 as potentially having cancer. Medical tests later confirmed that 72 of them were indeed cancer patients. Over time, graphology evolved alongside modern science, aiding in the detection of suicidal tendency, anxiety, learning disabilities, dyslexia, Parkinson's disease, ADHD, emotional stress, arthritis, cerebral palsy, diabetes, and neurological disorders. However, a graphologist without proper medical or psychological qualification cannot diagnose or treat a patient. So, how can graphologists contribute to the healthcare? They can provide graphotherapy, a technique where specific handwriting exercises help alter brain activity to improve mental health. Studies show that 90% of cases, graphotherapy effectively activates graphotherapy effectively um, alleviates psychological issues. After World War II, corporations began using handwriting analysis for employee recruitment, but this raised ethical concerns. In 2001, the US declared it illegal to analyze someone's handwriting without their consent. Similarly, Hungary imposed legal penalties for unauthorized handwriting analysis. In today's digital era, where typing dominates, does handwriting still hold significance? Yes. A 2017 study mentioned the study monitored brain wave activity using over 250 electrodes and found that handwriting is significantly more effective than typing in improving memory and learning. A similar 2020 study on children produced the same results. Researchers at the Norwegian University of Science and Technology found that writing simulates the brain far more than typing does. Now the question arises, what is the science behind graphological analysis of signature? Graphological signature analysis combines neuroscience, psychology, and behavioral science to interpret the subconscious clues hidden in the way a person signs their name. It is a subtle blend of muscle control, emotional expression, and self-image. In a chapter on autography, Edgar Allan Poe presents a series of brief critiques and observations about famous American literary figures of his time, using their autographs, signatures, and handwriting as a point of entry. The piece is part literary gossip, part psychological commentary, and part early experimentation with graphological ideas. Poe believed that handwriting could offer clues about a writer's personality, intellect, and moral character. While not a formal study of graphology, this essay is often seen as one of the earliest attempts to link handwriting with character traits in American literature. You can pause the video and you can read the slides, but I am not explaining it as I have explained it earlier. Now, another question arises. When we make our first signature, though a child tries to copy the styles of signatures of his parents, teachers, or wherever they see an attractive one, they officially sign for their own entity in the first time for the first time in India while the registration process of their secondary examination is going on. मतलब क्लास 10 के जो एग्जामिनेशन होता है उससे पहले उनको सिग्नेचर अपने लिए ऑफिशियली सिग्नेचर करने की ज्यादा जरूरत नहीं पड़ती है. Furthermore, you can read the slides which can give you a brief on what is signature analysis in handwriting. First of all, if the text is available with the signature, then we must have to see the signature with respect to the text. First, I am coming with the horizontal positions. The horizontal positioning of a signature indicates the initiative and risk-taking ability of the writer. Here, you can see there are 4 positioning and I have named them A, B, C and D. And what are the meaning of the positioning? Let's look at position A. If someone signs at the most left part of the page, which is actually the official American style, they are a bit conservative. They cannot trust people who are unknown to him. Sometimes they feel they have lack of confidence. Mostly they work with the known people, tendency of getting anxious, they are anxiety prone, they might have nervous tension, they might have self-doubt. The writer can be insecure about his public image, seeking safety of the unknown, and the writer can be conventional. And I have mentioned that it is American style, but actually it is a format. American style is a format. And most of the American may sign like this, but the other rest of the world do not sign like this. So whatever is written in a format will not be treated as a positioning of signature analysis. Placement of signature of contracts, business correspondence are not to be studied. It will only be studied when the writer has decided the location himself. You have to ask the writer, if you get signature in the left side, you have to ask the writer if he has been taught to write like this, or after schooling he started writing like this. You have to ask him. Now here comes the position B. B also has the same qualities like A with slightly reduced tendency. Now here comes the point C. The position C, where actually it is more of a right center part of the page where the writer can sign. And if a writer sign here, they can take calculative risks. He is neither conservative nor a great risk taker. मतलब अपने ही रिस्क के लिए अपने ही जान को दांव पे नहीं लगा देगा, लेकिन रिस्क लेने का क्षमता इनमें है. And the position D, if a writer signs at the extreme right end of the page, then there is a tendency that the writer is high risk taker. Probably he is showing that he is high risk taker in public. After making mistakes, he is ready to take the responsibility too. Sometimes the writer who signs in the rightmost part of the page can be impulsive. They can have fanaticism. Now we have to see the vertical positioning. If the text is available, we should also see the vertical positioning of the signature. Below the text, wherever the page is empty, you have to divide it into 4 parts. And if the writer writes in the part 1, which is closest to his writing, closest to the text, that means the writer has a tendency to remain in group. Here the group means his office, organization, company, family, friend circle, whatever. Whenever he is not in group, can feel insecure. Whenever he is alone, he can feel insecure. He feels comfortable whenever he is with the people. If the writer writes in the second part, there will be the same kind of characteristics in him. If the writer writes in the third part, which is here referred as number 3 or C, they have a tendency that while remaining in the group, they want personal recognition too. मतलब ये ग्रुप में तो रहेगा, लेकिन इनका खुद का भी कोई बातें होगा, थोड़ा सा अटेंशन चाहने की कोशिश करेगा कि हाँ मेरा भी कोई टेक है, खुद का स्टैंड है, ऐसा रहेगा. And if the signature is far away from the text, then it can say that the writer is individualistic, he can break promises, and in forensic graphology, if we get any sample where the signature is far away from the text, we can say that the writer is lying. Sometimes it can be true. Now we have to see the signature with respect to the size of the text. So first of all, if the signature is smaller than the text, then the writer may have modesty and undervaluation of self in front of people. At home, they are confident, but in front of public and outside of his comfortable area, they may feel insecure and they can try to stay away from the limelight. मतलब कभी कभी होता है कि ये लोग घर का शेर होते हैं लेकिन बाहर में बिल्ली हो जाते हैं. Now, if the signature is larger than the text, then the writer wants to portray a magnified image of self in public. He may act confidently and able to attract as attention. Sometimes, if it is overdoing, then bluffing can also happen. मतलब घर में तो बिल्ली है लेकिन बाहर शेर जैसा बिहेव करते हैं और बार वैसा बिहेव करने से कभी कभी ब्लफ भी कर सकते हैं. एंड नाउ सिग्नेचर एंड टेक्स्ट आर ऑफ सेम साइज. ये लोग बहुत स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड होते हैं. दे आर स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड, दे कैन बी ऑनेस्ट इन पब्लिक, कैन बी डाउन टू अर्थ. If the signature is too large with respect to the text, then it can show the grandiosity, megalomaniac attitude of the writer. It can show the exaggeration, bluffing of the writer. Actually, the writer lacks self-worth. Inferiority complex the writer may have inferiority complex. Inner fear can be a cause of it. मतलब खुद के अंदर inferiority complex है लेकिन लोगों को दिखाना चाहते हैं कि बहुत ही ज्यादा वो लोग कॉन्फिडेंट है. ये शो करने के लिए वो ऐसा ब्लफ करते हैं. एंड लास्ट, signature is too small with respect to the text. Keeping a low profile intentionally, he has no real mindset of being modest. Actually, ये लोग लो प्रोफाइल रहना नहीं चाहते हैं, किसी धंधे की वजह से लो प्रोफाइल रह रहे हैं. ये लोग मॉडेस्ट तो बिल्कुल नहीं है लेकिन किसी ना किसी वजह से मॉडेस्ट रहने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. Now we have to see the slant of the signature, and the slant indicates how the writer portrays his expressions in public and how expressive he is in reality. First, if we do not have the text, if we have only the signature, then what can we see? If the signature is aslanted, then the writer will not be in hurry. He is calm, controlled, and he knows when to restrict his emotions and when to express it. If the writer writes with B or C slant, then he is socially expressive, will voice their opinions more often. But if, here is a catch, if it is C slant, the socially expressiveness will be more and there can be a nagging attitude of the writer, which most people may not like. If the writer has a D-slanted signature, they will be very impulsive, they will be nagging, they can take hasty decisions, they can talk a lot because they have voice for everything, they have opinion for everything because they want attention. And if the writer signs in E slant, highest level of impulsivity, highest level of uncontrolledness, they do not have a choice of friend. मतलब किसी के साथ भी दोस्त होते हैं लेकिन आखिर में कोई इनको पसंद नहीं करता क्योंकि ये लोग बहुत ही हेस्टी डिसीजंस लेते हैं, बहुत ही ज्यादा इंपल्सिव होते हैं और इसीलिए बहुत ही ज्यादा लोगों से इनका झगड़ा भी हो जाते हैं और इसलिए ये बहुत ही ज्यादा फ्रस्ट्रेटेड हो जाते हैं. और ये फ्रस्ट्रेशन क्यों आ रहा है उसका कारण भी इन लोगों को पता नहीं होता है. तो दोस्ती को हर वक्त फ्रस्ट्रेटेड होकर ही खत्म कर देते हैं और वो फ्रस्ट्रेशन क्यों आया ये खोजते खोजते इनका दिन भी गुजर जाता है. ये भी वो खोजते रहते हैं. एंड F or G slant, if the writer writes in left or slant, they do not express themselves in presence of others. People may think that they are snobbish, but actually they open up to very few people who are closest to them. Now we have to compare the signature with respect to the text. If the text is leftward and signature is rightward, the writer is comfortable at outside. If the text and signature are same, the writer wants to portray himself as he is in his real life. The writer, if the writer writes the text rightward but the signature signs in leftward, then the writer is comfortable at home. Now we have to compare the text and the signature with respect to connection. If the text is disconnected and the signature is connected, the writer doesn't want to show he is creative in public. But if the text is connected but the signature is disconnected, the writer wants to show he is creative, intuitive. But actually, might be he is not. It might be an exaggeration. Before ending the video, I want to share an information with you. I am making this video to inform you about our upcoming signature analysis course, which we are planning to organize within next 2 months, likely on or before Rath Jatra. It will be a pre-recorded course with all videos uploaded to Google Drive. We will also arrange one or more Q&A sessions after the course begins. This video was mostly in English. Future videos will primarily be in English and Hindi. If anyone needs explanations in Bengali, they will also be accommodated during the Q&A sessions. For more details, please join our WhatsApp channel to stay updated on upcoming courses. Link is given below in the description box. At present, we do not plan to provide any kind of certificates, but if we decide to in the future, members of this batch will also receive theirs. For more fresh content, keep watching. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.